Howdy folks, Grok the DuckFarmer here, and welcome to episode 0 of Stoneblock. I've had several people ask me, how do I set up worlds when I'm setting up a new game like Stoneblock here, and how do I configure things? And so I said, let me show that, since I've been asked this before. So typically in the process, I'm chatting with people and they're saying, ooh, I'm playing this new mod pack, or hey, have you checked this out? And so I'll check it out and look at it and I go, ooh, this looks kind of fun. And typically I can have 2 series running at the same time. I have a hard time managing 3 or more. 2 is pretty good. It gives me because I like to release a video, if I've got the time, I like to release them every other day. And so that gives me a chance, say, Monday I release Series A, and I get feedback from it, and I'm starting to work on the Series B video that will come out on Wednesday. And once that's done, then I'm ready to turn my focus back again to Series A, and there's been feedback and responses and whatnot, and I get that ready to drop another episode of Series A on Friday. And so it's every other day, and every other release is every other series. So that's kind of how I like to do it. It works fairly well. Sometimes, if I've got a large project, I may spend some time with the whatever. You don't need to hear that. But Stoneblock, and once I realize, yeah, I may want to look at this, I'll read online what's in the pack. In this case, Stoneblock is like a Void World game, a Skyblock, except it's all stone. There's no void, it's all stone. Which I thought, that's kind of interesting. I can build some various passageways and whatnot as I do this. And I'll read the mods, but not always are they listed, so I'll download it. And so one of the first things I'll do is I'll come in here and take a look at the mods. And it gives me a chance to see what's in the game. Like, I go, Aroma's Dimension World is here. Well, cool. It gives me a place to work on. If it's a Void World, that's probably hard to get to. Otherwise, what's the whole deal of a Void World? Its resources are supposed to be hard, so that's probably end game. Some of the things I like to do is to come in here and do mouse tweaks and do the config on that. And by default, these are on, and I typically turn them off. I like the left mouse button tweak without item, because as I'm stacking items, I say I want to make stone brick. You take a stack of stone and you go zip and you put it in the 2x2 crafter, and it's 16, 16, 16, 16. And then do more. So you grab another stack and you go zip and you drag it across all 4 with, I think, this one, the right mouse button tweak. When you do that, it mixes them up. It doesn't smoothly move them. It's annoying. So it's bugged me enough times. I found this and I said, I'm done. I'm never going to have to worry about that again. Mechanism is another one that I'll come in, and I'll go to the client settings, and I'll change the sound volume from 1 to 0.2 or something like that, because the machines are really loud. And yes, there are sound mufflers, and yes, I will make those, but sometimes mod packs, especially ones where they monkey with the recipes, those are freaking expensive. And I don't know why, because they're so annoying to have that loud thing. Playing solo, I don't care. But when I'm recording something and you hear that loud clang, clang, clang as the machines are working, for me, it's annoying video, and I don't like to produce that. So I turn that off or drop it down real low. So those are the mods. One of the first things I do, especially if I've got an idea of what the mods are, is I'll go into options and I'll configure the options here. First thing, I go to video settings, graphics fancy, I like that. The GUI scale, I like large for doing videos. The default is auto. And holy cow, is that huge! It's hard to have any resource or desktop resource or any space to do anything in the GUI. It's so huge. small is so tiny. Now, I can see it because I'm right close to the screen. That's okay, but even that's tiny for me, just sitting here. Normal, I'll play normal all day long, but I won't record with that because it's hard for people to see. So that's why I leave it at large as whenever I'm doing anything that's going to be broadcast, anything I record. Just because that way you get to see the icons of what I'm dealing with. Brightness all the way to bright makes it easier for you to see. Full particles, fancy full particles, all of those are things that, because I've got a good beefy video card now, I crank them all the way up. Video sync, I turn off. That way I get all the frames I can. I also go crank all the frames. Render, I pretty much leave as is. View bobbing, I prefer that when I run along that my head bobs a little bit, and you can you can see that as you move along. If I don't have that on, it makes me feel like I'm on roller skates and I'm just gliding, and it bugs me. Clouds, always off. I never really like having clouds on. Full screen, I play it in full screen, but there's a lovely mod, windowed full screen or full screen windowed, one of those two, that allows me to have a full screen video on my left for playing Minecraft and recording there, but I can take my mouse and I can drag it off the screen over to my right monitor and click on things over here, which is fantastic, especially when I'm streaming. It gives me a chance to actually click on things and interact with stuff, and it's fantastic. I love being able to do that. Map, again, I've got a good video card, so I crank that all the way up to 4. If you happen to see that your frames are getting really laggy, then crank it all the way to 0 and see if that improves your frames. It may take 5 minutes for that to reset. It's really slow, but give that a go. That has saved my bacon, especially before I got my upgraded video card. Dropping the maps down to 0 really gave me more frames, especially busy spawn areas and stuff like that. So there's the video settings. Next I go to resource packs, and I will install the Faithful 32 pack. I really prefer that texture pack. 16 is just too blocky. 32 is nice, and I have no idea why I put ducks in. Yeah, no idea whatsoever. The other things, boom, 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 boom. Music sound, yes, I'll come into here and kind of crank the volumes down like this. This is kind of my default go-to pattern for sound. It should be good enough that it can be heard, but not so loud that it drowns out. If the IC2 machines are loud, I may crank that down. If the ambient environment, and some packs have a little ambient mod that really, wind blowing and stuff like that, I may crank that down too if it's too annoying. What else? Controls. Controls is a big one that I come in and configure. And first thing, auto jump off. I don't like auto jump in pretty much any time in game. It eats up stamina, so during the beginning parts of the game, that's a bad deal. If I have to go a long distance and I know I'm going to be going up and down, I may turn that on, just because it makes it so much easier to run up and down. I just run and it jumps me up the block, so that I like. The other thing I'll do is I'll go through and I will turn a lot of these options off. For example, fancy block particles. I don't need to change any of that. IC2. I don't have any IC2 items built right now. I don't need any of the configurations. Likewise, mechanism. I'll turn them all off because I don't have any mechanism built. Draconic evolution. I will put place item in world. I love that as P. P for place. I love that. The other one is the Grave character. It's not grave. It's Grave. It's not grave, it's grave. But it's the one that's next to the number 1 key on the left. It's the little backwards accent. That's assuming you have a US keyboard. So I'll configure some of those things, and just to make life easier, because otherwise there's so many conflicts. In fact, let's look at the conflicts. There's a bunch of conflicts here. Toggle overlay, I definitely want. This one, I don't want it all. Okay, let's that changed. I had gone through all this with the Stoneblock version 1.0.16. I saw this morning that there was a upgrade, and so I said, okay, let's get 17 on here, and that changed that there for me. All right, I think that's it for options, and I haven't even loaded a game. So let's do that right now. One of the first things I will do is I will create a void world. It gives me a creative place where I can build things and test out ideas, especially like, for example, the mechanism 4 and 5 times multiplier for grinders. It's a very complex procedure, and while I've done it before, I want to make sure that I've done it in-game in this version, because things always change, and I want to make sure it all works. And then I'll do it in, on a video or something that I do. All right. This, come into here to the options, because I need to make it a void world, not this void world with a question mark, because it's going void world. No, this is the Stoneblock world. I'm looking for the super flat. Here it is. And instead of the really flat one, let's go to the void, and I get rid of decorations, because I don't need any decorations in the void. Duh, none. Seed matters not on this, and so we'll go ahead and create. And this can take a while. But the thing that I'm really wanting to do, and I've got my hand over the space bar so that I can double jump as fast as I can so I don't fall into the void and die. Because even in creative, you will. Haha, I fell 30 blocks. And up. Oh, there's a book there. All right, so this is the void world. And that thing in that top left corner, day 0 time biome frames per second, I don't like it. I see absolutely no reason to have that if I've got journey maps installed, and that's over to the right. There's no reason to have both of those there. And so I keybound that, control \, gone. Ah, so nice. Okay, so what do I do in here? Okay, mod authors, this is annoying. This is very annoying. I will hunt down and see if I can turn off mechanism buildcraft hats and extra cells 2, if I can turn off this notification. Sometimes it's available in the GUI, in the config. Sometimes you have to go into the config files themselves and turn them off. And what really bugs me is when they never let you turn it off. Annoying. Anyway, rant over. Set block 064 diamond blocks. All right, where are you? Way up there. So that's the 0 of the world. And I'll fly up to here. Plop. I'm not a big fan of having that, Walia thing right there in the center top. I kind of prefer it more center left, but I can never remember how to move it. Oh well, I'll hunt that down and I'll see if I can move it. But for right now, I will do spawn point, I think it is. Yep. Now if I do die for some reason, I will respawn on my diamond block here, which is good. Okay, other things. Game rule, do daylight cycle false, always day. Game rule, do fire tick false, so lava won't burn stuff. And game rule, do weather cycle false. No rain, no snow, none of that. It's the void world. I'm here because I want to just build random things. I don't need any of that. The other thing I like to do is time set like 2000. Because if I look to the east, all right, so the sun is halfway there in the east. It gives me a chance to look to the west. There we go, west. And there's nothing there. There's the moon down there, which looks really weird, full. It looks like I've got 2 suns, one up high and one down low. Anyway, So those configurations are set in. This is where I build things to test things, because every mod pack is slightly different and does, the one mod I want to generate power in actually give power to the block that I want to receive power from a different mod. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. And so I will quite often, especially if it's a very expensive thing, I will build that here in Creative, make sure that the power works, that it generates for me the right powders or whatever, make sure that it works. Because why go through, especially in a void world where you have so much, sometimes difficulty in getting stuff, I really don't want to build things that are hard and difficult to build and build it for no reason. It makes no sense for me. All right, so toss that away. I like having all the books, but I don't necessarily want having them on me. So let's go into here and configure stuff. I like having, if I'm going to be here in Creative, I can grab stuff and center search bar. I really like having that here, and being able to grab stuff is fantastic, because I may be in here and going, ooh, I need some chiseled stone and a melon. Whatever. So that's, I'm in Creative. I can have all the things. So there's Creative, and most of the time that's all I do before I start off a series. But sometimes, especially if it's an overworld game, I never do it for void worlds, because hey, I just have a void world. I just created in Creative. But if it's an overworld game, I will sometimes create a creative version. So we'll call it creative. Creative and options, and we'll do it whatever I'm going to be playing with. And here's where I can play with a seed. Say Stony. I don't know why I always put an E. Stone E. I'll just randomly pick something. So let's go ahead and create this. This is mainly so I get a lay of the land, and allows me to do some creative mode searching for biomes without having to do anything in-game. And most of the time I don't care, but occasionally, especially if random things are in the pack, because you can do a biome search in plop. Oh, and here we are. Again, that's very annoying. Oh, yes, I was saying, why am I in creative mode? Oh, because I am in creative mode, because this is a creative world. But biomes, we're talking about biomes. Say I need a mesa, and I really want the blocks. I only have a limited amount of time to play, and typically a couple hours in the evenings after I come home and food and all the rest of the stuff. So I don't want to spend all my gameplay time hunting for a biome. I'd rather be producing a video for you guys, or doing something that will make it so that I can produce a video for you guys. I find that, what's with the googly eyes? I would rather be doing something that makes a video possible than just randomly running around the map, unless my purpose is to just randomly run around the map. And sometimes that's really fun too. But if I'm looking for a specific biome for some reason, then I want to find that fast. And so random things and a creative world, fantastic. Makes it so easy. But for a void world like this, I'll probably never come back in here, because why? Something else to take a look at. This up here, these are some of the configs available for, what is this, FTB utilities. I tend to get rid of everything but this. The trash can is mighty handy. The claim chunks is handy, because you can go like this and say, mine. Left click? Okay, yeah. So left click will claim, and right click will unclaim. So that gives me a chance to say, this is mine. Very important on a multiplayer server, not at all on a single player, except sometimes, it says in the bottom, loaded chunk 64. Here's where we shift left click. These are all chunk loaded. Now, are they really chunk loaded? I don't know. But that might be a way of getting a chunk loaded area, especially if I'm going to be farther than whatever the loading block range is for the system. So if I wanted to have say a mob farm running here that's constantly grinding, or maybe, hey, it's a void world. Maybe I'm doing a whole bunch of sieving. I'm generating resources. I want to sieve it down and get the resources out of it. And I want that running while I'm, 2,000 blocks that away. Well, maybe that will work. I don't know. Some packs have that disabled and others don't. So let's quit out of there. But so sometimes I'll have a creative mode of the world I'm playing in. Void worlds I never do. But at this point, I'm ready to start a new world. And this typically would be something like, Grok does stone. Something silly. Survival mode. I'll make sure it's this. And I'll use the same seed, stony. I always do stone plus E. Why? I don't know. At which point, I will create the world, and I will typically actually start the video here. So if something happens at the very beginning, I spawn over lava or something strange like that, I've got it captured. I may not actually have that as part of a video, but at least I start it running. I'm not going to do that right now. I've got to go get me some food. It's a Saturday. I also need to pull my laundry out. I just did a bunch of laundry, so I've got things to do before I can come back, about an hour or two, and then I will create episode 1 of Stoneblock, which you probably have already seen. I'm going to release this afterwards. Anyway, this has been Grok the DuckFarmer with a little kind of behind the scenes of how I set up a Minecraft game for playing and for getting it ready to broadcast in videos or streams. And thanks for watching. Bye.